I'm just going to share a few things that might help with stress and anxiety and worry. So obviously stress and anxiety and worry exists in your brain space, in your head, usually future thoughts, so projections about what might be that hasn't happened yet, largely fictitious, but things that you like to invent for yourself, or they could be past events that are still worrying you. So either way, you need to bring your attention and your intention out of your head space and down into your body. And obviously you can do that in a few ways. You can do it through the breath. I've got a video that will talk to you about some exercise to do with breath, so I'll share that afterwards. And also you can do that by bringing attention to the feet. So I'm going to stand up in a minute and show you some movement practices where you can really focus on what's happening beneath your feet. In Chinese medicine, anxiety and worry is when your earth element is out of balance, which obviously then if you think about the earth and you think about grounding down, then you want to find practices again that ground you, that root you to the earth. So I'll cover some standing practices you can do with that. In terms of acupressure points, which can be really handy because you can do those when you're sat on the sofa, you can do those when you're in a meeting. In terms of the earth element is related to your stomach and your spleen in Chinese medicine. And that makes sense to me because a lot of the time when you're anxious and worried, it affects your appetite, it can affect your digestive system. So your stomach master point is actually where your foot, when you flex your foot, it's just that little indent in the middle of your foot there. So just flexing your foot up and down and also holding into that space. And if you touch yourself intentionally and just let your body know that you're trying to take care of it, that in itself is very, very powerful. But flexing the foot up and down like that whilst also paying attention to pressing down on that point, that stomach master point, can be really good for you. While we're down here, another really good acupressure point for, this is also your stomach, is if you again flex your foot, and then just underneath the outside of your knee, I'll show it here, when you flex your foot, you should find a muscle raised to meet you. And then if you can just squirrel in where the muscle meets the bone there, and usually with acupressure, your fingers go right, your body seems to know where it needs to go, and it usually goes right to a tender, vulnerable bit. And that's the bit that you want to massage. And you can keep flexing that foot as well to pump blood through it. That's really great. Runners actually call this the 3 mile point because it's supposed to give you an extra 3 miles. So that's really good for beating fatigue. So that's something that you also might want to try. And then the final thing that I'm going to show you from an acupressure point of view while I'm down here is this point, which is one of my favourites. So here, and it's like right in the middle of your foot underneath your toe pads. So right there. And you can you can use your middle finger and just press that point there. And also you can use your middle finger to press that point there and hold the side of your foot. And this point here is again a super, super powerful point in the human body. This is related to your kidney line. And so the kidneys in Chinese medicine are connected to the water element. So it's all about the fluids that you store and distribute that transform various mechanisms throughout the body. And the kidney as well, if you think about where they're located, the adrenal glands are sat right on top of the kidneys. So if you're feeling, again, fearful, worried, concerned, if you think about your adrenals and how they work in terms of the water element, so your fight or flight or freeze response, so you might freeze when you feel fearful, then again kind of doing something that can work with those master points, so the kidney points, can be really helpful. And this one is so great. Both, you can use either foot. It's actually called bubbling spring. And this is where your life force energy comes up through the earth and meets in your body. So that's a really, really powerful source. And it's the source of all your chi, your source energy comes up through that point. So that's, again, when we move into the standing practice, that's a really nice thing to be mindful of, to think about. But you can always hold this in, say, a forward fold, where you could just literally arms up overhead, coming to a forward fold. And if your hamstrings are quite tight and won't let you come all the way forwards, you can just bend your knees. It's not about hamstring stretch here. It's really about just accessing your foot there. And so you can have a good massage of that. So those are some acupressure points. And as I say, you can do those when you sat down. You can do those anywhere. You can do them when you're watching a film or whatever, or relaxing. So I'm going to stand up in a minute and start a second video to show you some movement practices to ground your energy down and also to work with the water element.